Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Shraddha Shachekar. I practice as consultant psychiatrist in New Delhi. Today, I will be presenting a short video on types of delusions with the neat PG perspectives, and I will also be discussing few MCQs relating to the topic. Let us begin with the definition of delusions, which is one of the most important questions from psychiatric perspective in NEET PG MCQs. Okay, so sure. Okay. So delusions can be remembered with the help of three F's: fixed, false, and firm belief. It is unshakable. That is why it is called as fixed belief. It is false. It cannot be proved to be true with any kind of explanation. And it is firm. No matter how much you try to shake the belief, the person who is having the delusion will be very firm on it. That is why it is called as fixed, false, and firm belief. Along with this, there are two other important parts of the definition which may be asked as MCQs. So the delusion persists even after contrary evidence is given, and it is out keeping the socio-cultural background. What do this mean? Let me give an example. In Indian context, we know that cricket, movies, Bollywood, they are given a lot of importance. So if somebody comes and says that Sachin Tendulkar is a god in particular region of India, you cannot really say that it is a lie because there are some people who worship actors and cricketers. So when we talk about socio-cultural background, in Indian social cultural background, Sachin Tendulkar being God cannot be called a delusion. So what is it? It is an overvalued idea. So overvalued idea is something which we also need to remember in this context. I hope we are very clear on the definition of delusion. Let's move on to the types. There are basically two types, primary and secondary. Primary is also called as true delusion. Some also call it as autochthonous delusion, and it is usually seen in schizophrenia. You cannot really understand what is the meaning of the delusion and what is the person trying to say. For example, a person in with schizophrenia might say that the aliens are trying to communicate with him through the internet. This is an example of primary delusion. Secondary delusion is also known as delusion like ideas, and it is due to the mood of the person or the cultural content. It is usually seen in mood disorder. For example, if a person is going through a manic phase of mood disorder, he might say that I have to attend an important cabinet meeting with the Prime Minister today because I am a very important person, a VIP, and that is why they have invited me for the meeting today. Whereas in reality, he is just an ordinary laborer. In this context, it is a secondary delusion because of his expansile and manic mood. Let's move on to the types of primary delusions. So various books give various types of primary delusions. I have picked up the most important ones. So here you can see that I have started it as autochthonous delusion. Some books like the Sims book say that autochthonous delusion is also a type of primary delusion. But today, let us keep it simple. Primary delusions are also known as autochthonous delusion. And the other types of primary delusions are delusional percept. Here, a false meaning is given to a real perception. What does that mean? For example, a person who is having a delusion is traveling and he comes across a red signal and he sees the signal and says, "Oh, the red signal says that something really bad is going to happen in my life." Here, the real perception is the red light in the signal. And the false meaning is that something bad is going to happen with my life. So here it is a delusional percept. Next is the delusional atmosphere or the mood. Here, the person with delusion will conclude that I think the environment or the atmosphere around me is saying that something really bad is going to happen with me. I can feel it because the environment looks gloomy. So it is just the atmosphere or the mood of the person which creates the delusion. Third, delusional awareness. Here, the person with delusion will gradually start becoming aware of their uncomfortable thoughts. For example, as we spoke in the first example, that a person with delusion is saying that he can hear the aliens communicate with him. In delusional awareness, he will start explaining or he will start telling that, oh, I think I can feel the aliens are trying to communicate with me. I can make out that some of the aliens are trying to communicate with me through the internet. So that means he is gradually expressing the awareness that something unusual or a firm belief is coming, he is coming across it. Then we have the delusional memory. Here, a false meaning is given to a past memory. For example, a 50-year-old man would have undergone appendicitis surgery in his childhood, which is a past memory and it is a real incident that has happened in the past. And now he might say that during his phase of delusion or the psychosis, he will say that during that surgery, a chip was implanted in my stomach, and that is why today I can feel that the aliens are trying to communicate with me. So here, the implantation of the chip and the aliens trying to communicate with me through the chip today, because of an appendicitis surgery in the past, is a delusional memory because he is attributing the false meaning to the past memory of surgery. There are other types of classification when it comes to delusion. One amongst them is simple and complex delusion. As we can very well see in this pictorial representation, simple delusion is as simple as it is. The patient might say that I can hear the neighbors are talking about me and they are gossiping about me. That's it. The delusion is that there is a delusion of being gossiped about, which also is known as delusion of reference, which I will deal with later. Whereas in complex delusion, the person might say that I can hear that the neighbors are talking about me because they are tapping on the wall whenever I am in the room. And they are doing this because I have my own house and they are jealous of my money because they do not have that much of money. And they are also trying to follow me wherever I go, and they have installed cameras to keep an eye on me. So there is a lot of systematization, there is a branching out. It is not just about being talked about. The person also feels various connections with the neighbors, and he is trying to build a story across this one delusion. That is why it is also known as well systematized or well organized complex delusion. It is usually seen in functional psychosis, meaning a proper psychosis like schizophrenia or your delusional disorders or mood disorders associated with psychosis. Next, coming to the content of delusions. We have heard about various types of delusions, right? In other words, they are also called as content of delusions. Let us see what they are. First, delusion of persecution. So these content of delusions do not have any definition per se, but we have to understand their meaning because we will come across various MCQs where they will give you case scenarios and you have to identify what kind of content of delusion this is. So in delusion of persecution, the individual would say that somebody is trying to harm him or her. So the classical or typical presentation is harming oneself. Somebody is planning or plotting or trying to harm him or her. Morbid jealousy or delusion of infidelity. Here there is a false fixed firm belief of the partner or the spouse not being faithful to him or her and being in another relationship, and hence the infidelity. And also because of this there might be jealousy, sexual jealousy, or just plain morbid jealousy. It is also called Othello syndrome. Now, what is Othello syndrome? If you people are a fan of Shakespeare, you would know that Shakespeare has authored a play called Othello. In that, there was a character who murders his wife because he suspects infidelity, and that is a delusion in that particular play. And that's how this delusion of infidelity is also called Othello syndrome. The next one is delusion of love or erotomania. As simple as the words say, there is a false, firm, and fixed belief that the other person is in love with me. In this, there is another one also known as de syndrome, in which typically a woman will have a delusion that a man of a higher status or higher age group is in love with her, and it further gets systematized wherein the woman will believe that this person is transferring funds to me, trying to help me get a job, trying to help me establish a community, and so on. Whereas in reality, it wouldn't be true. It is known as de syndrome. Next is the delusional misidentification. There are two main types in this, Capgras syndrome and the Fregoli syndrome. What is Capgras syndrome? Here you can see I have highlighted the C of Capgras and the C of close member. So MCQ will usually state or use these words that a close family member has been replaced by someone else. Okay. And then you have to quickly remember close family member. C stands for Capgras. So Capgras is close member. I'm repeating certain things again and again so that it gets fixed in your mind and there's no chance that you forget it. Okay. So Capgras is a close family member being replaced by exact double. For example, a husband might feel, or an husband who is going through a delusional disorder will feel that he cannot recognize his wife. Why? Because he feels that she is being replaced. She is not my wife. She is someone else. Okay, so this would be the typical history. Next is the Fregoli syndrome. Here, the individual will feel that different people are in fact a single person. So this comes from a famous Italian actor named Fregoli, who was known to be very good at depicting various characters, various roles. And he used to do it so well. I mean, he would take up the roles very well. That is why in Fregoli syndrome, a single person is only a different character. Means, if you think of me, I am Dr. Shraddha. Someone else is also behaving like that, or someone else is me. I mean, there is a different character, but it is actually me who is taking up that character. Okay. I'm Dr. Shraddha. I'm also behaving like the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, or I'm trying to behave like Shah Rukh Khan. But in reality, all of them are Dr. Shraddha. That well, I am trying to mimic them or replacing them. This is Fregoli syndrome. Next is the grandiose delusion, also known as megalomania. As the words say, the person feels very grand about himself or herself. It is usually seen in a manic disorder of mood disorder, wherein the person has high expansal ideas about himself or herself. As we have already spoken, the person might say that I'm the Princess Diana and I have to go to the Buckingham Palace and everyone has to salute to me because I have arrived. Or I'm the richest person and everyone has to behave like my servant. So these are expansal ideas in a person who is actually not having that much of money or powers in reality, but it is just the delusion which makes him behave that way. Then we have nihilistic delusion. Here, oneself, others, or the world. So there are three things: me, others, and the entire world. They are not existent or they are about to end. So nihilism means being non-existent. And here the person or individual will feel that oneself, others, and the entire world, any of these three are about to end or they do not exist anymore. In this case, there is something called as Cotard syndrome, which is another type of nihilistic delusion. It comes from the word walking corpse syndrome. I've highlighted CO of Cotard syndrome and CO of the corpse. Okay. So Cotard is also known as walking corpse, meaning that if the individual has something to do with his bodily functions, saying that, oh, my hand is rotting or my face is rotting, it doesn't exist anymore. My intestines are rotting. I do not have my intestines anymore. If these kind of thoughts are expressed by the individual, it is known as Cotard syndrome. You can remember the corpse for Cotard. You can remember this picture of the skull which is rotting. Okay. Next, the religious delusion. It can be anything to do with their religion. Next, we have delusion of guilt and unworthiness, usually seen in depressive thoughts or low mood, wherein the person will have guilt that, um, I am not worthy to exist. I'm not a good mother, and hence I should die, or hence I should stop existing in this world. These are delusion of guilt and unworthiness, which in reality will not be true. Means the lady would have been a good mother or would have tried doing her best as a mother, but still her depressive thoughts are making her feel that way. Delusion of poverty, as the words say, the person would have enough money or would be good to do, but he or she will feel that he or she is poor enough. Hypochondriacal delusion. Here, hypochondriacal, you can remember from, if you remember that the abdomen is divided into quadrants, and one of them is a quadrant, right? This is just a mnemonic to remember that hypochondriacal delusions are related with parts of the body. Okay. Meaning health of the body. That I'm having some issues in my hand. I think there is a tumor inside my shoulder, or there is a tumor in my humerus bone, or there is a tumor in my chest. It can be anything to do with the health of the body, whereas in reality, it won't be existing. Delusion of control, classically seen in schizophrenia, wherein the person will feel that he or she is under the control of an external commodity. For example, I when I repeatedly say that I feel the aliens are communicating with me, there can be extension in this that they are telling me to shut down my computer right now, because if I don't do it, then the world is going to cease from existing. The world is going to just vanish away, and I have to, that's why, switch off my laptop right now. So someone is trying to control my thoughts and trying to make me behave in this certain way. Delusion of reference, meaning somebody I feel is talking about me, gossiping about me, discussing about me, or I am in somebody else's conversations. This is delusion of reference. These are some more contents of delusion. Delusion of infestation, also known as egg bomb syndrome. It comes from the famous neurologist, Mr. Eggbom, who documented a series of cases wherein he came across individuals who reported that they could feel organisms, macroorganisms, or any kind of insects crawling under their skin. We typically see these cases which are which have infestation, and they go to the skin department also, and there is a liaising with the psychiatric department also, because there is no clear diagnosis. They usually first report to the dermatologist stating that they have itching and they can feel something going under their skin. And because the dermatologist is unable to address the issue, they land up to the psychiatrist. And usually that is when they get diagnosed with the delusion of infestation. As you can see in the picture, they would feel that insects are crawling all over them. But in reality, it won't be the truth. Okay. Then there is also known as something called communicated insanity, or shared delusions in common words. And there are 4 types in that. Folie impose, in which usually two people who are closely related, or they have a close association, relationship, friendship, anything, they share a delusion wherein one person would have a proper delusional disorder and he would have a proper delusion, And the other person, because he constantly spends time with the person with the delusion, he or she will also start believing that passively. Okay, meaning, okay, it may be true because my friend is saying so. Folly communique, as the word says, the delusion gets communicated, meaning the one person individual who has the delusion keeps repeating that, I think my mobile is hacked and people are trying to track my um, life and they are controlling my thoughts through my mobile. And because my friend is spending time with me all the time, he is now actively believing, meaning he will also think that, oh, I think really his mobile is hacked and he's being controlled through the mobile. It is actively being communicated to the friend now, the delusion. Third is fully induced, meaning the friend has a delusion and now I'm also having a delusion. And in this, there is both of us now having a delusion individually. Okay. Then there is fully simultaneous, meaning both of us will at the same time have delusions. Okay. And maybe some more people also get communicated and they also will start having the delusions at the same time. Now let's see what MCQs have been asked in the context of types of delusions. First one, it has come in NEET PG in the year around 2017. A 60-year-old male who lost his wife 3 months back complains that his intestines have become rotten. Do you remember anything that we have discussed earlier, something to do with rotten intestine? If yes, then good. That means the class has made some sense to you all. He feels that he is responsible for his wife's death and he should be sent to prison. He complains of feeling low all the time and has lost interest in daily activities since his wife's death. What is the most likely diagnosis? See, intestines have become rotten and the man is complaining. There is no obvious chief complaint or any other health issue that he's reporting, like a fever or weight loss, anything. So in reality, I do not think we can explain that his intestines are rotting. So it looks like it is a false belief. And he's also saying that he is responsible for his wife's death, which also seems like a false belief because he feels there is no evidence to that. And these are firm belief because he's saying that he should be sent to the prison also. So false, fixed, and firm belief, all three are coming together. So it should be delusional disorder. The answer is C. Okay. Next. Okay, so it should be the delusional disorder. Next. Next MCQ appeared in the AIMS around 2018. A person believes he's the most important person in the world, and so his neighbors and family members are trying to harm him and they are jealous of him. We have picked three important words here. He believes he's most important person. It's a belief. Okay. And members are trying to harm him and they are jealous of him. We picked the three words. His wife says otherwise, meaning she doesn't believe in all this. Okay. And says he behaves like this only recently. And before that, he was working peacefully as a school teacher. He is most likely suffering from. So, belief that someone is the most important person in the world who was otherwise just a school teacher looks like a grandiose delusion. Belief that someone is trying to harm him or her looks like some kind of persecution, means some plotting going on against him, a belief that some plotting is going on against him, and um, they are jealous of him. Again, it is a part of persecution only. So the answer is C, delusion of grandiosity and persecution. It is not reference. The reference will not come anywhere because here he is not feeling anybody is discussing anything about him. In reference, there should be somebody discussing about the individual. Okay, so the answer is C. Next MCQ again from AIMS. A young patient is admitted to hospital with acute psychosis. He wakes up and asks for his wife even while she is there in the same room right next to him. Upon pointing her out, he states that this is not his wife and someone else is masquerading as his wife. The most likely diagnosis is. Okay, so clearly, first sentence says that he is going through acute psychosis, and he is unable to recognize his wife because he in reality she is there right next to him, but he says that she is not his wife. Means he is not able to recognize a close family member. Wife is a close family member, right? And he also feels that she has been masquerading as his wife, means someone else is there instead of the close family member. So when it comes to close family member, C for C, Capgras syndrome. It is not Fregoli. Fregoli was what? The famous actor who could mimic many roles. Means I would look like Shah Rukh Khan, I would look like Modi and act like them, right? I gave this example. Delusion of subjective doubles or doppelganger, as simple as the word says, meaning double role. I'm here and I'm there in another person also. We both start looking the same to same. Both are existing at the same time. So again, that is also not the answer. Othello syndrome, Shakespeare's play we discussed, where the actor or the man murders his wife, and that is because of the jealousy. So again, Othello is not the answer. So the answer is C for C, close family member, wife is Capgras syndrome. Okay. So these were my references for today's short PPT. In case of any doubts, you can always go back to these and get them clarified. Thank you so much for your valuable time. I hope my PPT or my presentation made some sense today and hope to see you all again. Thank you so much.